I was left out of my family's Christmas plans, but a bill for $45,000 for my sister's brand new car showed up in my name. I made one quick call to the finance company and told them, "Take it back. I'm washing my hands of this." It all started on a Tuesday in early December, the kind of day in Chicago where the sky is the color of concrete and the wind off the lake bites at any exposed skin. I was at my desk trying to untangle a particularly nasty spreadsheet for work when my phone buzzed. It was my mom. I smiled, thinking she was probably calling to coordinate Christmas plans. We were a big Christmas family, or at least, I thought we were. "Hey Mom, what's up?" I said, leaning back in my office chair. "Hi honey, just calling to check in. How are you?" Her voice was almost unnaturally cheerful, like a morning show host. It was a voice she used when she was about to ask for something or deliver news she thought I wouldn't like. "I'm good, just busy with work. I was actually about to call you this weekend to talk about Christmas. Should I plan on bringing the big cooler for the drinks like last year?" There was a half-second pause, a tiny pocket of silence that felt heavier than it should have. "Oh, well, sweetheart, that's actually what I'm calling about. Your father and we decided to do something a little smaller this year. You know, just a quiet thing at the house. Just the three of us and Ashley." I sat up straight. A knot formed in my stomach, cold and hard. "Oh, just you guys?" "Yes, honey. Things have just been so hectic, and we wanted to scale it back. No big fuss. You understand, right? It's not a big deal." I stared at the gray cityscape outside my window. It wasn't a big deal, of course. Why would it be a big deal to be the only one excluded from my family's Christmas? Me, Mark, the 34-year-old son who lived 15 miles away, the one who had spent the last 10 years being the family's designated driver, furniture mover, and tech support specialist. "Yeah, Mom, yeah, of course, I get it." "No problem." The lie tasted like ash in my mouth. "That's my boy, so understanding," she chirped, the relief in her voice painfully obvious. "We'll get together with you after New Year's, for sure. We love you." "Love you too, Mom," I mumbled, and the line went dead. I put my phone down on the desk and just sat there. The numbers on my spreadsheet blurred into a meaningless dance. A quiet Christmas, just her, my dad, and my younger sister Ashley. It didn't make sense. My parents' house was the family hub. Christmas there was never quiet. It was a joyous, chaotic symphony of my aunts, uncles, cousins, their kids, the smell of turkey and pine needles, and the sound of my dad's old Christmas records skipping in the same spot on White Christmas. I was always in the thick of it. I was the one who climbed the rickety ladder to string the lights on the two-story house, the one who assembled Ashley's gifts that came in a million pieces, the one who made sure my grandma's glass was never empty. I tried to rationalize it. My apartment was smaller, I was single, and maybe they didn't want a fifth wheel. But that had never been an issue before. A deep, lonely ache started to spread through my chest. I felt like a fool. I had already bought their presents. A brand new stand mixer for my mom, because she'd been complaining about her old one. A fancy drill set for my dad. And for Ashley, I'd gotten a gift certificate for a weekend spa retreat worth a few $100s because she was always talking about how stressed she was. The irony was suffocating. I went home that night and shoved the brightly wrapped boxes into the back of my closet, behind my winter coats, out of sight. The tiny pre-lit tree I'd set up in my living room suddenly looked pathetic and mocking. Christmas was canceled for me, it seemed. The days that followed were a special kind of awful. I tried to push it down, to be the understanding son my mom wanted me to be. I buried myself in work, went to the gym, and binged TV shows. But the exclusion felt like a physical presence, a constant shadow at my side. Every Christmas song on the radio, every festive storefront felt like a personal insult. I avoided social media, knowing it would be a minefield of happy family photos. But curiosity is a cruel master. A week before Christmas, I broke. I opened up my phone and navigated to my mom's profile. Her page was plastered with festive cheer, and then I saw it. A new album titled Pre-Christmas Fun. My blood ran cold. I clicked. The first photo was a group shot. My mom, my dad, my sister Ashley, and my Aunt Carol, my Uncle Steve, their 2 kids, and my other cousins all crammed into my parents' living room. They were all wearing matching red pajamas, mugs in hand, grinning in front of the giant, lavishly decorated tree, the very tree I was usually the one to help set up. Everyone was there, everyone who was usually there for the big fuss Christmas. Everyone, except me. My heart hammered against my ribs. A quiet Christmas. Just the 4 of us. The lie was so blatant, so shameless, it took my breath away. I wasn't just excluded. I was lied to, deceived, pushed out, and assured it was for reasons that were now clearly fabricated. I scrolled to the next picture. It was Ashley, front and center, holding up a new designer handbag. The caption, written by my mom, read, "Getting our princess her Christmas wishes early." More photos followed. Baking cookies, watching holiday movies, a trip to a Christmas market. It was the full, festive experience, all happening without me, as if I had ceased to exist. I felt a surge of hot, raw anger, but underneath it was a profound, chilling hurt. Why? What had I done to deserve being so completely erased? I closed the app, my hands shaking. I had to know. I picked up the phone and called my mom. It went straight to voicemail. "Hey Mom, it's me. Just calling to say hi. Give me a call back when you can." I tried my dad. Voicemail again. I sent a text to Ashley. "Hey, saw the pics. Looks like fun. Thought you guys were keeping it small this year." The reply came back almost an hour later, a single, dismissive text. "Plans changed. TTYL. Talk to you later." It was like a slap in the face. The wall was up. They were deliberately shutting me out and didn't even have the decency to explain why. The slow burn of suspicion began to ignite. This wasn't just a simple oversight or a change of plans. This was deliberate, orchestrated. There was a reason, a secret they were keeping from me. I thought back over the past few years. I was the responsible one, the one with the steady job and the perfect credit score. I was the one they called when the car broke down or a sudden, unexpected bill appeared. I'd co-signed on Ashley's first apartment lease after college because her part-time job as a lifestyle influencer wasn't enough to qualify. I'd given my dad a few $1,000s a couple of years back to fix the roof, a gift he swore he'd pay back but never did. I never pressed him. I was the family's safety net. Could that be it? Had I finally said no to something? I racked my brain, but I couldn't think of anything. I had always said yes. Maybe that was the problem. They didn't see me as a son or a brother anymore. They saw me as a resource, a utility. And for some reason, they didn't need that utility right now, so I was switched off and stored away. The feeling of being used crept over me, insidious and sickening. I spent the next few days in a fog of resentment. Every memory of my generosity was now tainted. Every time I dropped everything to come running, every check I'd written without a second thought, now felt like another brick in the wall they had built between us. Then, 2 days before Christmas, the mystery deepened into something far more sinister. I was scrolling aimlessly through my feed again, a form of self-punishment at this point, when a new post from Ashley popped up. It wasn't on my mom's family-friendly page. This was Ashley's own curated world of filters and hashtags. The picture was of her, beaming, leaning against the hood of a brand new car. It was a beautiful, sleek, ruby red SUV, the kind that costs a small fortune. It was parked right in my parents' driveway, a giant red bow stuck to the windshield. The caption read, "OMG, my Christmas miracle came early. I have the best parents in the entire world. I can't believe this is mine. Hashtag blessed, hashtag new car, hashtag Christmas came early, hashtag best parents ever." I stared at the screen, my mind reeling. A brand new SUV. That car had to be at least $40,000, maybe more. My dad was a retired postal worker, and my mom worked part-time as a receptionist at a dental office. They were comfortable, but they weren't, by a $40,000 car on a whim, comfortable. Not even close. Where on earth did they get that kind of money? And if they had that kind of money, why had my dad needed to borrow from me for the roof? Why had Ashley needed my help with her apartment? A cold, dreadful suspicion began to form in the pit of my stomach. A memory surfaced, a casual conversation from a few months back. I was at their house fixing their Wi-Fi, and my dad was sorting through mail at the kitchen table. "You know, Mark," he'd said, tapping a letter from his bank, "you've done so well for yourself. Your mom and I are so proud. You've got that perfect credit score, rock solid." At the time, I just smiled and thanked him. It felt like a compliment. Now, it felt like reconnaissance. Had they been sizing me up? The pieces started to slam into place with horrifying clarity. The sudden decision for a small Christmas to get me out of the way. The radio silence when I tried to ask about it. The extravagant gift they couldn't possibly afford. The weird comment about my credit. It couldn't be. They wouldn't. My own family wouldn't do that to me. It was too monstrous, too much like a twisted TV movie plot. I tried to tell myself I was being paranoid, that my hurt was making me invent conspiracies. But the sick feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. It was a premonition, a deep, primal alarm bell telling me that I had been profoundly betrayed. All I could do was wait for the other shoe to drop. It dropped the day after Christmas. The holiday itself was a quiet, hollow affair. I ordered a pizza and watched old action movies, trying to pretend it was just another day off. The next morning, I went to check my mail, expecting nothing more than post-holiday flyers and a bill or two, and there it was. Tucked between a Happy Holidays card from my dentist and a supermarket circular was a crisp, white envelope. It was from a major, well-known auto finance company. My name and address were printed neatly on the front. My heart started to pound in my ears. I knew with a terrifying certainty what was inside. I walked back into my apartment, my legs feeling unsteady. I dropped the other mail on my entryway table. I stood in my silent living room, the envelope in my hand. It felt impossibly heavy. My hands were trembling as I tore it open. Inside were two documents. The first was a welcome letter. "Dear Mark Evans," it began. "Congratulations on the purchase of your new 2024 Apex SUV. We at Capital Apex Finance are thrilled to welcome you as a customer." The second document was the first payment coupon, and there in stark, unforgiving black ink was the full scope of the betrayal. Vehicle, 2024 Apex Summit, Ruby Red. Total amount financed, $45,872.54. Borrower, Mark P. Evans. I sank onto my couch, the paper crinkling in my clenched fist. They had done it. They had actually done it. My family had used my name, my information, my perfect credit score that my dad had so casually complimented, and they had bought my sister a nearly $46,000 car. They had stolen my identity. The Christmas exclusion suddenly made perfect, sickening sense. They couldn't have me around while they were committing fraud in my name. They couldn't risk me seeing the paperwork, hearing a stray conversation, or catching a glimpse of the car before they had their story straight. My Quiet Christmas was their cover. A wave of pure, undiluted rage washed over me, so potent it made me dizzy. It wasn't about the money. It was the breathtaking deception, the calculation of it all. They had conspired against me, lied to my face, and then celebrated their bounty while I sat alone, wondering what I had done wrong. The hurt I'd been feeling for weeks curdled into something hard and sharp. This wasn't a family squabble. This was a crime, and they had left me to foot the bill. Without another thought, I pulled out my phone. My fingers were stiff, but I navigated to the finance company's website and found their customer service number. I didn't hesitate. I dialed. A pleasant, professional voice answered on the second ring. "Thank you for calling Capital Apex Finance. This is Brenda. How can I help you?" I took a deep, steadying breath, my own voice coming out colder and flatter than I'd ever heard it. "Hello, Brenda. I'm calling about a fraudulent account that was opened in my name." There was a pause, then the clicking of a keyboard. "I can certainly help you with that, sir. Can I have the name and account number?" "The name is Mark Evans. I don't have an account number, but the letter I received is for a 2024 Ruby Red Apex Summit." More clicking. "Okay, Mr. Evans, I see the account here. It was just established a few days ago. Can you confirm the address on file?" I confirmed my address. "All right," she said, her tone shifting to one of serious concern. "You're stating that you did not authorize this purchase?" "That is exactly what I'm stating," I said, my voice tight. "I have no knowledge of this transaction. I have never been to the dealership listed on the paperwork. This is fraud." "I understand, sir. We have a process for this. We will launch a full investigation," she began, but I cut her off. "I didn't want an investigation. I wanted a resolution. I need you to listen to me very carefully," I said, the words coming out like chips of ice. "I am not making a single payment on this. The people who have the vehicle are my family. You can find it parked at their address. I gave her my parents' address. Send someone to get it. I want it repossessed. I want it taken back. I am washing my hands of this whole thing, effective immediately." The fallout was immediate and spectacular. Less than an hour after I hung up with the finance company, my phone exploded. The first call was from Ashley. I had unblocked their numbers out of a morbid curiosity to see how they would react. She was screaming so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "You ruined my life!" she shrieked, incoherent with rage and sobs. "They're taking my car! The finance company called. How could you do this to me? It was a gift." "It was a gift bought with a stolen identity, Ashley," I said, my voice devoid of any emotion. "You don't get to commit a felony and then get mad at the victim. This conversation is over." I hung up. Seconds later, my mom called. Her tone wasn't angry, it was worse. It was dripping with manipulative, wounded disappointment. "Mark, what have you done?" she pleaded. "We were going to tell you. We were going to make the payments. Your sister is heartbroken. You're tearing this family apart over a piece of metal." "A piece of metal? Mom, you lied to me. You excluded me from Christmas, and you forged my signature on a $45,000 legal document. This stops now. You don't get to use me like your personal bank account anymore." "But honey, we did it for Ashley. She was having such a hard time." And then the next twist of the knife. My dad got on the phone. His voice was weak, defeated. "Son, look, we messed up. We know that. But there's more to it. Ashley, she got herself into some trouble. A bad online business idea that went south. She owed some people a lot of money from all the inventory she bought. We were trying to clean up her mess without worrying you, and we got in over our heads. The car it was to make her feel better after all that. So, that was it. The final piece. It wasn't just about giving the golden child a shiny toy. It was about cleaning up another one of her messes in secret. And my credit was the tool they used to do it. They sacrificed my financial security to patch up her irresponsibility and spare her any consequences, all while making her feel like a princess. The betrayal was complete. I spent the rest of that day in a strange state of calm. I blocked all their numbers again, this time for good. The frantic calls and texts stopped, replaced by a profound silence. But this silence was different from the one they had imposed on me. This one was my choice. It was a shield. The following weeks were quiet. I got a formal letter from the finance company confirming the fraud claim was being processed and the vehicle had been reclaimed. I heard through the grapevine, a text from a concerned cousin, that the repossession had been a dramatic scene in my parents' quiet, suburban neighborhood. My family, apparently, was telling everyone that I was vindictive and unstable, that I'd flown into a rage over a simple misunderstanding. They were trying to salvage their image by destroying mine. But I didn't care. Their words couldn't touch me anymore. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't worried about their problems. I wasn't waiting by the phone for the next crisis. The constant, low-level anxiety that had been my companion for years was just gone. I was free. I lost a family, yes, but the family I thought I had, the loving, supportive unit from my childhood memories, had clearly been gone for a long time. What I lost was an obligation, a burden I had mistaken for love. What I lost were users and liars, and in its place, I found a quiet, sturdy sense of self-respect. I had finally drawn a line, not in the sand, but in solid rock. A line that said, "You do not get to break me to fix yourselves." And I knew, standing in my quiet apartment, that I would never, ever let anyone cross it again.